Jones on the roll, chased by Calais Campbell, trying to get to the goal line. He'll get there. Touchdown, Colts.
It's the best way to start your NFL Sunday. Welcome everybody back to Sunday Morning Slants. I'm your host, Matt Watson, joined alongside Mason tonight. Mace, how are we?
Pretty good.
And if you just saw that clip, MVP candidate Daniel Jones with another big week this past week for the Indianapolis Colts. So we're going to dive into all of that. But make sure you check out our socials down below. Make sure you're checking out Sunday Morning Slants and Matt Watson Media on all podcast platforms. So like we've typically been doing, we will start by recapping the previous week of the NFL season. Mason, since it's just us tonight, a little bit of a light crew for Slants this week. I'll start it off with you. What was the game that you saw this week, and what were kind of some of your takeaways from that game?
I would just like to start by saying some might say the greatest quarterback to ever wear the horseshoe on their helmet. I'm just putting it out there.
Horses confirmed.
He's getting around. A game that caught my eye, not over the weekend, but the first of the Monday set last night, which it's week 6. I still don't understand why we're having 2 Monday night games, but the Bills and the Falcons, pretty interesting and maybe telling game that occurred last night. I mean, I was told, Jalen Hurts, when he only throws for under 200 yards and doesn't turn the ball over, that's not enough to be a good quarterback. And here we have Josh Allen, who's supposed to be this world beater, and they end up losing to the I guess I wouldn't say lowly Falcons. I mean, they have a winning record at this point. But yeah, I mean, they did lose by 30 to the Panthers. But, I mean, they got a couple of good wins under the belt, I guess. And, I mean, this one looks great for them. But, I mean, yeah, the NFL is just really interesting this year. I can't quite put a finger on it. Like, to me, and I'll go back to the Eagles because I'm an Eagles fan and it's my comparison to everything. I really see kind of the same things of just during this game, just not being able to get a good rhythm going. I mean, there's a couple plays that I see where Josh Allen looks like Josh Allen. He's making big plays down the field, and it's like a 50-yard bomb. And then all of a sudden, from there, it's 3 and out, and they shoot themselves in the foot, and they get uncharacteristic penalties. It just seems like a really sloppy year of NFL football. It seems like nobody can really get anything consistent going, which seems like kind of the opposite of years past. I don't know if some defenses are figuring something out. I mean, I'm not a defensive guru by any means. But yeah, I mean, the two teams that met in the Super Bowl last year, the Chiefs and the Eagles, that's pretty much how they got there at the end of the year, was just grinding you down. I know the Eagles had the big explosive plays from Saquon throughout the year, but they were pretty much the Eagles last year, they would get 5 yards on first down with Saquon, do something on third down, and then it was tush push time. And they just kept moving the chains, and it just worked. And it seems like this year, especially what I saw from this Bills game, it just seems kind of like all or nothing. And I know in the past we've seen Josh Allen kind of be turnover happy. I mean, the two turnovers in this game weren't really – I mean, one of them should have led to a touchdown. I don't know how Drake London didn't get in the end zone at the end of the first half. But that was kind of just like a forcing it at the end of the half, trying to make something work. And then at the end of the game, kind of same thing. I mean, you're down 10 points at that time. You're just trying to make anything work. And that's what led to the second one. But I mean, listen, if not this year, like the NFL is completely wide open to this point. I don't think there's anyone you can look at. I mean, the one seeds for the conferences are the Bucs and the Colts at this point. I think if you told that to anyone like in preseason before the year started, they'd be like, "Wow, you're an absolute idiot." So I mean, yeah, it'll be really interesting to see who starts turning things around because everything's just wide open at this point.
It's one of two things in the NFL this year. It's that there's finally some parity, and there's going to be, a fresh Super Bowl matchup. There's going to be different teams vying for playoff spots, or everybody's just waiting for the Chiefs to get hot and just go on another run and go back to the Super Bowl. One of two things are going to happen here because, the Colts are 5-1. Nobody saw that coming. I think some people could have pointed out Tampa Bay might be 5-1 at this point. If things went well, and they have, despite the injuries. But I think overall, it's fun to see different teams in the mix. Like the Colts really haven't been in the mix in a while, so to see them at the top is really cool. And it just any given week, you have no idea who's going to win these matchups. I know 2 weeks ago, the Bills and the Eagles were both 4-0, and we were sitting on here basically saying, "Oh, it seems like here your top two teams are going to run with it." Kyle infamously said that the Bills had a cupcake schedule, and they've dropped 2 in a row.
And yeah, we did claim they might go 17-0 and have now lost 2 straight games.
Exactly. So you're welcome, Buffalo. But like exactly that. Like you just don't know what to expect. And honestly, I think that's just really exciting. It makes for great games. Makes it a little harder for sports bettors, but it's all in good fun. So yeah, overall, I mean, Buffalo losing last night, I did not see that one coming. I admittedly didn't really get to see most of that game. But just kind of just checking on some of the highlights and box scores after the fact. Just the fact that they lost to the Falcons. I think this is a Bills team that everybody really picked to go to the Super Bowl. A good amount of people, including us on the podcast, think the Bills will probably be a 1 seed, a 2 seed, and they can still get there. Teams lose games. It just you would have expected on a Monday night slot Buffalo to go in there and just mop up the floor with Atlanta. And I think the bigger concern is the fact that the Falcons were able to move the ball so efficiently against them. So it'll be interesting to see how Buffalo bounces back. I'm not concerned for them in it, in any way. I think they have one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I think that's going to be enough to get them definitely to the postseason. Probably going to still win the division. I know New England is ahead of them at this point thanks to the head-to-head. So it'll be fun to watch. And I just think for the first time in a long time, you can't pencil anything in at this point because we have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, the Falcons aren't the Jets, obviously, but yeah, this should have been like the opposite direction. It should have been at least I don't know what the spread was, but this should, even away at Atlanta, this should have been a 10-point win for the Bills. So I don't know. It seems like everybody's got something to work on right now for sure.
For sure. So kind of pivoting to the other end of the spectrum, I wanted to talk about a game that I watched on Sunday that I didn't think I would find to be interesting, but I was kind of, in it till the end. And that was the Patriots and the Saints. So heading into the season, a lot of people thought the Patriots would be one of those teams who missed the playoffs last year and would have a good year in year 2 under Drake May, make the postseason this year. I was one of the people who picked them to make the playoffs. I didn't think that they'd have a shot at the division title, but through 6 weeks, they're on top, which, I think you have to give hats off to Mike Vrabel. But I honestly want to talk about the Saints more than I want to do the Patriots. And while New England won the game and they had a lead for the majority of it, I love the fight that I'm seeing out of the Saints. They're 1-5. They're not very good. I do not think that Spencer Rattler is a very good quarterback, nor should he be a starter in the NFL. But week to week, he's performing pretty well. I mean, he's doing a nice job. I know they're not getting the results, but they've pretty much been in every game this season. And I think you have to tip your cap to Kellen Moore because he inherited a really bad roster. The Saints just do not have a lot of talent. They have poor cap situation, aging talent. Derek Carr was their quarterback last season. He retired, so you're really just kind of moving on. And I just think while the Saints aren't in necessarily a great position record-wise, I think that those players are really buying into what Kellen Moore is building in New Orleans. It's probably going to result in a top 5 pick. Maybe you go out there and you draft a rookie quarterback to take the reins next season. I mean, maybe you let Spencer Rattler start the season next year, depending on how he does the rest of this season, and give that rookie a little bit of time to learn. But I just think it's cool because there's a lot of bad teams in the league. The Dolphins, the Jets, like teams that you just know that they don't really have a future at this point. And while the Saints are definitely going to struggle, in my opinion, I don't know. I overall think that they're building something. And I think they play in a division where year in and year out, you never really know what's going to happen. I think Tampa's a good team. Atlanta has the makings of a good team. Carolina, I'm not really bought in on. But if you were to tell me that the Saints drafted second or third overall, took the top quarterback, the second best quarterback, and then they had like a Jaden Daniels type outbreak from whoever that may be, and they make the playoffs because they win the South with 10 wins next year, I wouldn't be that shocked. Like I think that's something that is very plausible for them, and I just think overall they're building a good culture in that building, and for me being on the outside looking in, and they're a fun team to watch, despite the fact that they're probably not going to win.
Yeah, I mean, culture is super important. So if Kellen Moore is building something that the guys are going to buy into down there, like you said, I mean, obviously talent is super important, but with a top 5 draft pick, that's something that could really start to turn things around. But I mean, a team that comes to mind for me is the Lions, right? They were in poverty forever. And all of a sudden, Dan Campbell kind of got all these guys. And I know obviously they have plenty of talent to go around on that team now, but I mean, in a couple of years, all of a sudden they were the team to beat in the NFL. So it can definitely turn around quick. It's a year-to-year league, and if they're building something that all these guys can buy into, it's definitely they can turn around. And I will say, I know we both I didn't really pick my game to talk about the Falcons, but just the NFC South in general. For as much as a laughing stock as we talked about this division being at the start of the year, I mean, it's starting to look like they got fight. I mean, all these teams, I feel like when you think about South divisions, it's just like teams that kind of lay down, and I'm starting to see some North ball out of Baker Mayfield obviously comes to mind as someone with just grit. I mean, the Falcons, I don't think are very good, but they gritted that one out last night. The Saints, like you said, are kind of building that culture, and the same thing with the Panthers. I mean, all teams in that division are pretty much like tooth and nail trying to fight for wins at this point. So very interesting.
Yeah, it's been fun to see. And like we go back to that parody conversation of, well, now like there's races to watch. A lot of these teams are going to be playing division rivals the last couple of weeks of the season. Chances are they're going to be for the division titles. I know Tampa's sitting at 5-1, but they're really injured. I mean, all of their wide receivers are out right now. Emeka Mbuka is probably going to miss a few weeks. Chris Godwin's already been ruled out for next week. And as we know, Mike Evans is on the shelf. So, I mean, they're going to be putting out the, nobodies next week.
And they have the Lions. And it looks, why are there two Monday night games? The rest, not good now. I don't know. There's another 2 Monday nighter next week. The first one,
they got to stop with this.
Bucks at Lions. So I'm going to chalk that up as an L. I think the Lions bounce back after losing this week. So, I mean, if the Falcons or the Panthers win next week and the Bucks lose, all of a sudden it's a 1-game race, and anything can happen. Be interesting.
Anything could happen. So that'd be interesting. But you just referenced the Lions. We talked a little bit about it on the last episode heading into Sunday. Lions and Chiefs. Obviously, the Chiefs did pick up the win. Big brawl at the end of the game. Brian Branch starting stuff. Dan Campbell came out after the game and apologized. It feels like the Lions, and I know I picked the Chiefs to win. You guys picked Detroit. It really feels like Detroit's in a tough spot right now because we watched the Packers go out and get better. And I think a lot of people still feel as though the Packers are the best team in that division. For everything that Minnesota has been and will be this year, they're still a competent team with a really good defense. And the Bears are starting to play good football for the first time in a long time. I think that Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, the duo, is really working out. And for Detroit, we talked about it. They were so bad for so long. They finally had this sense of hope, and they were starting to put it together. They made the NFC Championship game a few years ago, just destroyed with injuries last year, and still made the playoffs. Won the division. I think they won, 15 games last year, 14 games. Like they were a juggernaut last season. And now you're getting to the point where it's year 3 of expectations. It's year 3 of, people picking Detroit to go on a run and finally break through and get to a Super Bowl for the first time. And in a game which was very winnable for them on the road in Kansas City, which is always tough, but this isn't the same Chiefs that we've seen in years past. For them to go out there and lay an egg on Sunday Night Football and to not beat up on Kansas City and kind of put them in the grave, I think that's more telling about where the Lions are than where the Chiefs are at this point. I just think that Detroit left meat on the bone and they shrunk in another big game. It allowed Kansas City to get some life, back in their system, and they're going to face the Raiders this week, which is probably a surefire win. So now here comes Kansas City again. It's just, I don't know. I don't know about you, but it's starting to feel like Detroit might be just kind of above average, but not elite at this point.
Yeah, I think they have a little bit of front runnerness to them. I mean, they like to just run out the scores on bad teams. And then, in the games that they played this year where they were facing a tough opponent at home, it seemed like they couldn't get anything going. They were kind of just in every aspect, just overpowered. So, just looking around in the NFC, there's not really a team that scares me per se. I know the Eagles look terrible right now as an Eagles fan, and I have no idea if they're going to turn things around. But I mean, could you tell me right now, like the Seahawks couldn't win a playoff team against one of these games? Like it's way closer.
I love the Seahawks this year. I think Darnold has been such a great pickup. They're 4-2, and nobody's really talking about them.
Yeah, and just looking around, like the teams that I think at this point are probably going to make the playoffs, like the Packers, the Lions, the Bucks, maybe like all the teams in the NFC West except for the Cardinals. I mean, and I think any of those teams, like I don't know who would be the favorite. I guess you could say the Packers at this point. But like, it wouldn't shock the world to me if like the Buccaneers were able to beat the Packers in playoffs. Like, it's just way closer than I think it has been in years prior.
No, I completely agree. And like I think the tie on Green Bay's ledger kind of takes away from what I think they've put together this year.
Mhm.
They should have beaten the Cowboys like that. The fact that they ended it with a tie was an embarrassment in my opinion. But I know we were very hot on them heading into the year. They obviously made the Michael Parsons trade, so that's why everybody had that buzz around them. But overall, I think Green Bay's still a really great team. And maybe Detroit's the third best team in this division. I know Chicago is still up on the come up and they don't have the same level of expectations, but I don't know, man. Like, if you told me the Bears slotted in at the 7th seed and Detroit just missed the playoffs, I don't think I'd be shocked at this point.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, I mean, I'm excited to watch how these division races shape up, and I'm sure over the next few weeks, some of these teams are going to start to separate themselves a little bit.
Mhm.
But you're already seeing a lot of teams at the bottom kind of fade out. I mean, Cleveland, I can write their season off. Tennessee, I can write their season off. Miami, I can write their season off. The Jets, I can write that season off. I know Baltimore's 1-5, but I don't think they're dead yet. I'd imagine Lamar is going to be back after their bye week this week, and I think he can string together some wins and turn their season around. But maybe not. Maybe he just doesn't get healthy, and this is just a lost year for Baltimore. But the NFC is a little less like that. Obviously, the Saints are in last place of the NFC, but I don't know. I think we're going to be in for a really fun ride, and that's exciting as a football fan.
Mhm.
Just knowing that you can tune in any game and any outcome will appear. But I did want to talk about one team and one player in particular who at this point could be the front runner for the MVP, and that's Daniel Jones and the 5-1 Indianapolis Colts. They are the 1 seed if the season ended today. I think we thought the Colts would be solid, but I don't think anybody saw just this outburst from them. I know heading into preseason, it was a battle between Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones, but I mean, Daniel Jones is just playing fantastic football. And it feels like head coach Shane Steichen has unlocked him. Like, it feels like he finally has weapons around him. He has structure around him, and he doesn't have that pressure of New York beating on him. Not that I think that there was really a lot of expectations for him after a few years, and he was just kind of playing. Not many people thought a lot of the Giants, but going to Indy has just, turned his career around, and it's turning around the Colts franchise because they're becoming a very legitimate team very quickly.
Yeah, I don't know. Something in me still tells me I don't know if the Colts are real. I mean, just looking at their wins, the Dolphins are atrocious. The Titans are atrocious. They lost to the Rams, who I think the Rams are a good team, but I don't think the Rams are really world beaters. They beat up on the Raiders, and then they just won by 4 against the Cardinals. And I skipped over the Broncos, who at this point I don't really know, and they won by 1 point, and I don't really know what the Broncos are at this point because that was a good win against the Eagles, and then you almost laid an egg against the Jets there. But I mean, they don't have really like that marquee win yet. I think I just need to see a little bit more. I mean, this week coming up, they have the Chargers, kind of the same thing. Like, where are the Chargers right now? I know they started off hot. And then you rip off again the Titans, the Steelers. That should be a good game. The Falcons, the Chiefs. I think they could definitely, the way that they're playing right now, they could definitely keep stacking wins. I think they're on a great trajectory to make the playoffs at this point. Really like looking ahead on their schedule, like maybe the Chargers, maybe the Steelers, the way they're playing, the Chiefs, the Seahawks, the 49ers. So what's that, like 4 or 5 more losses? So you're looking at like 11-6. That's good enough to make the playoffs in the AFC, I think. So, but I just don't know if they're like in that top tier. I know the record looks good right now, but based on the teams they beat, I don't know how I feel about them in the playoffs against some of the top contenders in the AFC. But I
Which is
mean, it's been great to see for Daniel Jones for sure. I mean, that's kind of awesome. Just seeing all the QB resurgence that's been going on, Sam Darnold and Daniel Jones and Baker Mayfield. It's good to see these guys get in the right place, and then everything starts to click.
Yeah, I think it really shows you how important coaching and scheme fit really is in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
In other sports, it's really a plug and play, but with football, we've seen guys go to other teams and either be shells of themselves or they've popped. And you're seeing it with the quarterbacks. I mean, Darnold goes to Minnesota and he really grows as a quarterback, and he's taken that with him to Seattle. Baker had that time with the Rams that he's credited a lot working with Sean McVay, and it's helped turn around his career in Tampa Bay. I mean, he's gotten like 2 offensive coordinators, head coaching jobs at this point. Like, that's how great he's been for the Buccaneers. And then Daniel Jones goes to Indianapolis with Steichen. And again, another quarterback who, many people looked at as a journeyman, and now he is a surefire starter in the league. And, if things didn't work out for whatever reason at the end of the season and the Colts didn't want to bring him back, teams would be lining up for Daniel Jones, which I don't think you could have said last year. So, but kind of going back to the schedule a little bit, I agree with you that they don't have that signature win. I guess the win over the Broncos would be, the win of the year for them. And they got that on basically they missed the field goal. Penalty gets called against Denver. They get 15 yards and then they hit a chip shot.
I forgot about that too. So, yeah.
So, it wasn't like they slammed the door on the Broncos by any means. I think that's more of a game the Broncos lost than the Colts won. But that's me being a little biased as a Broncos fan. But they have taken care of business against the shitty teams. They beat up on the Dolphins. They beat up on the Ravens. That's what you're supposed to do. So, I agree with you. Some of these matchups coming up, Chargers, Steelers, Chiefs, you go out there and you win a few of those games and you really cement yourself, at the top of the AFC South for sure, and then top of the AFC. I mean, a home playoff game for Indy and you're matching up against, there's could be a lot of good teams in the AFC, but a home playoff game and you're matching up against the Broncos or the Chiefs,
Chargers,
or
like that,
Chargers, Patriots. I think those are winnable games for them at this point until I'm proven otherwise. So, good for Indianapolis. Good for Daniel Jones, who, he's becoming a superstar right now. He's doing a hell of a lot better than some of the quote unquote superstars in the league. So I think you have to give him his props.
Yeah, for sure. Comeback player of the year for me, Nass.
Yeah, if they didn't make that rule, I think it'd be
he just missed the cut, man. Oh man, he's got to be.
He did just miss it, but that's okay. That is okay. We'll get you. He just might get the MVP. So I don't think he needs that.
In good shape. I will say one game that I'm highlighting this week, which is funny that it's a matchup now, is Commanders Cowboys. Because listen, man, whoever loses that game, that's a hole to dig out of. If the Cowboys lose that game, I think they are buried. And if the Commanders lose that game, depending on how the Eagles turn out the next couple of weeks, that could start to widen the gap there. So it's a nice matchup for me this weekend, personally, that I'm gonna be monitoring, and it'll be interesting.
I know it looks like the Cowboys are home dogs in that game. I think I like Dallas in this matchup. I think the Cowboys offense.
It wouldn't shock me. Listen, you just lost to the Bears. I know the Bears are decent, and Ben Johnson's kind of turning that around a little bit. But that was at home on Monday night. I don't think that's a game that the Commanders should have lost, especially if they're trying to be the contenders that they want to be this year after how they performed last year. And they got to turn it around quick here. 3-3 is not the ideal start that I think the Commanders are looking for.
Yeah, and I know they get a win with Mariota playing those 2 weeks that Daniels got hurt. Yeah. But that's the risk you run when you have a quarterback who plays like Jaden Daniels. It's the injury factor. Jalen Hurts has missed games in, I believe, every season since he's become a starter, mostly towards the end of the season. And the Eagles have usually had a great record that's kind of overshadowed it. But that's the risk you run. You might miss a couple games each season, which is why having a valuable backup like Mariota is good for your roster construction. But you have to win games to give yourself that little bit of leverage. And right now, Washington's going to have to hope that they stay healthy and dig out of the hole. And they're an older roster, so health isn't necessarily on their side. And you're looking at Dallas, who George Pickens, like, what a steal for the Cowboys. I cannot believe the Steelers just handed him to Dallas like that. And I know CeeDee Lamb not being there helps his numbers, but he's just been an absolute machine. Him and Dak have really become a top duo in the league.
Yeah, unfortunately, their defense is just absolute crap, and they're getting into these shootouts and just continually losing. Yeah, and looking back at the Commanders' schedule, I just realized this. They kind of have a gauntlet going. You're looking at Cowboys on the road, Chiefs on the road, Seahawks at home, Lions at home are your next 4 games.
Yeah, that's tough.
Could the Commanders, I think they'll end up winning those games because I think everything balances out. But 3-7 could be knocking. Those are 4 really tough games. The Cowboys obviously don't look great, but at home, you never know with Dallas. They could put up 40. So
yeah, exactly.
Tough schedule coming up for the Commanders, but we'll see how that turns out.
For sure. And I think another game I wanted to highlight, the Sunday night game this week, the Falcons are at the 49ers. Short week for Atlanta, but they were home. But you have to build off that momentum of beating the Bills. And I think them playing in prime time again this week is a really huge moment for Michael Penix. And I know the 49ers are coming off a tough loss to the Buccaneers last week. I do think Brock Purdy might be back. So we'll see if it is him or if Mac Jones gets another start. And I think Mac Jones has done a nice job filling in for him, talking about a quarterback who has found the right coach and he's playing really well. But this is a game for them. In my opinion, the 49ers can't lose this game. They really can't afford it. I know they'll just fall to 4-3. But we talked about the Seahawks and we talked about the Rams being contenders for the division title. This is a game at home you have to win. And again, if you're in Atlanta, you need to build off that momentum. So I think it's two really hungry teams who really need a big win in this spot. I think I'm going to go with the 49ers, just trusting that experience. And I think if Brock Purdy does play, they have the quarterback advantage. But again, it wouldn't shock me if the Falcons went in there and scored some points. Bijan has a good game. Drake London has a good game. I would not be shocked after what they did against the Bills yesterday. So who do you like in that matchup?
Yeah, I'll go with the 49ers to kind of just keep winning the way that they've been winning. I mean, most of their games, their point differential is not great. I mean, they've been really squeaking these things out. I know the injuries have been stacking, but yeah, I just don't know how real the Falcons are. Like, I know and I think it's probably a little bit of I know it's the 49ers, so it's not like a trap game, like you're playing a bad team. But I mean, you're coming off a big win, and sometimes I feel like it's hard for these teams to kind of get back up after something like that. Like beating the Bills, even at home, is a huge deal for the Falcons, and I think there might be a little bit of maybe a little mini hangover from that. And yeah, I mean, the 49ers getting back at home, hopefully, obviously, whether or not Brock Purdy plays a huge role into how this game will turn out. But yeah, I think it'll be close, but I think the 49ers sweep one out again.
All right, yeah, that'll be definitely a fun game to watch. And the last one for you, the second of the two Monday Night Football games, the Texans at the Seahawks. Seattle, who I think, we talked about Darnold a little bit, coming off a win over the Jags, who have been a quality team this year. This I think, is another good matchup to kind of prove how good they are because they're hosting a 2-3 Texans team that started off really bad and they're starting to put it together a little bit. If you're Seattle and you pick up this win, you go to 5-2, it's a home win, and you keep charging for that division. I think this is a game for the Seahawks that almost determines whether or not they're a division contender versus a wild card contender. This is the kind of game that you need to win at home to make a run for the division title versus if you lose this game, now you're around 500. That's really where wild card teams tend to, fall into at this point of the year. And then if you're the Texans on the other side, a big win here helps get you back in that division title hunt. They were the favorites going into the year, and Stroud hasn't played very great. Not to the level that many people expected out of him. I know I kind of buried him a few weeks ago, but they've won 2 in a row. It was the Titans and then the Ravens without Lamar Jackson. So this is a real test for them. They have a few tough games in a row. I'm going to go with the Seahawks to take care of business, but I think this could be a statement win if you're the Texans and you go on the road and you beat Seattle on Monday Night Football.
Yeah, I'm just not going to bet against Seattle on Monday night. I can't believe that game is at 10 p.m. I'm just putting it out there now. I'm not going to be coming on here on Tuesday next week and talking about this game because I will not be watching it. But hopefully it's a good one, and I think the Seahawks will win. I just don't see it with the Texans. I mean, I know you just beat up on the Ravens, but that was an absolute body bag game, and I mean, at this point, the Ravens are 1-5, so you can't even say it's like a good team that you beat in reality. And I think the Seahawks are legit. I mean, they have a lot of good wins against solid teams. I mean, they were going toe-to-toe with the Bucs, and the Bucs at this point are 5-1, so I can't really knock them for that loss on their ledger there. And yeah, I think at home Monday night, it'll be a big advantage for the Seahawks, and I think this would be a nice win for them. I think it could even be I wouldn't be surprised if we're double-digit 10-point win for Seahawks on Monday night.
Well, Mason taking -9.5.
Is that what the spread is?
No, the spread's 3.5. But if you're going double-digit win, yeah.
Oh yeah, we're going 10. Take Seahawks -9.5.
There you go. That's the pick of the week. So, all right, that'll do it for us here at Sunday Morning Slants this week. We'll be back to recap Week 7 of the NFL next week, as well as give a look ahead to week 8, which is roughly getting around the halfway mark. So we'll hopefully see some teams start to separate. Hopefully we get some good games this upcoming weekend as well. So appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure to check us out on our socials listed below. Check us out on YouTube and all podcast platforms. And as always, tune in weekly Tuesdays at 8 o'clock for our